Hey Tony, it's Friday, and first off, to answer your question of the week, I don't really have a fixed thing I really like in games, because it really depends on the game and in what mood I'm in for said game. Like, a good example is in Pokemon, I don't really play it for the story, but I love grinding, and I have a fun time doing it. Whereas, compare it to, like, Borderlands, I really don't like the grind. I like playing for the story, I like playing for the characters. It really depends on the game and how I'm feeling. So I don't really have a good answer for that. What I want to talk about this week, though, is conspiracy theories. Wait, YouTube. Wait, YouTube. Please don't demonetize us. Please don't give us a copyright strike. Please don't knock us out.
Honey, you don't make any money on YouTube.
Valid point. So I want to talk about conspiracy theories this week.
Sorry.
Because they are getting worse and worse by the day. Now, a conspiracy theory already is essentially a pointless exercise, because if someone is a conspiracy theorist, they're not going to believe anything but their conspiracy, that there's a big shadowy cabal doing whatever or whatever. But it's really come into a big view this past week because of the death of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know how much you've followed the Epstein case, but he was a very rich New York financier who also had a child rape island. And I hate saying it that crassly, but that's literally what it was. He was a huge human trafficker, and he rubbed elbows with a lot of the most powerful people in the country, including the Clintons, including the Trumps, including almost any rich person in the New York area. So he was arrested several months ago on all of these sexual assault charges, rape charges, human trafficking charges, a whole lot of really bad stuff. Like, this guy was a real bad guy. But just this past week, he committed suicide. And it spawned all sorts of conspiracy theories because of how powerful he was, because of how rich he was, and because of his influence he had with a lot of very powerful people who very well could want him dead if he were to get arrested and if he were to flip and tell the authorities everything that they would want. So he was found dead in his cell, I think it was last week. And so immediately everything just came pouring out of conspiracy theories. President Trump actually shared one saying that the Clintons were the ones who had him killed, which is more like than not completely false. And he also tagged the conspiracy theory of Clinton body count, saying that the Clintons for a long time have murdered their rivals, killed people who spoke ill of them, etc., etc. Like, a lot of bad things that no one can prove. And that in itself is the danger of conspiracy theories, because you're essentially having to prove a negative. You're having to prove that this didn't happen, which is almost impossible to do. Because you can have full proof, bright as day, that this isn't what happened, that this was the reason, but even so, you're still going to have your people who are like, but you can't prove they didn't do this. And that's part of the issue with conspiracy theories. Now, conspiracy theories have been around for ever, really. Like, I'm going to focus primarily on the past 60 or so years, starting primarily with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. That has spewed all sorts of conspiracy theories, saying that the mafia had him killed with the combination with the CIA, and Lyndon B. Johnson was the one who ordered it so he could get the presidency, that there were multiple shooters, it wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald. And these conspiracy theories have been long-lasting for 60 plus years. In fact, Dad's friend Jim, the Russian, is a real researcher on JFK assassination theories, which is interesting. Like, they're definitely interesting, but they're also dangerous. More recently, we have issues like 9/11, saying that 9/11 was an inside job, saying that it was ordered by the Bush administration to essentially start a proxy war on false pretenses in Iraq. Now, there have been many documentaries about this that might or might not be true. Truth is, we probably never will know. But they've just really started to seep in even further throughout the past few years, particularly with Alex Jones and InfoWars. Now, Alex Jones is a radio talk show personality and a grade A conspiracy theorist, and really, he's a bad person. Like, that's my own personal opinion. I think he's a really bad person who is done terrible things, namely with the survivors and the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre from several years ago. And he's one of the foremost conspiracy theorists in the country. He's been all in on the we never actually landed on the moon. He's been all in with the 9/11 was an inside job. He's been all in with even like chemtrails, saying that the trails you see planes leave are actually chemicals that are trying to affect us. And he also says that those rich liberalists are trying to put chemicals in the water to turn the freaking frogs gay. I wish that was a joke, but he actually said that on air. But they've gotten a real platform with Alex Jones and with President Trump, who has shared many a conspiracy theory, which is dangerous in its own way, because if you start spreading conspiracy theories, then people might not trust what the government has to say or what anyone has to say. And it also brings to, the deep state controlling everything. Those coastal liberalist elites are the ones who are really controlling the world, and us in middle America don't know anything about it and are real victims of it. And these things just erode public trust. Now, the government has certainly done many shady things. Like, there are a lot of conspiracy theories that have turned out to be true. The one I can think of in my mind most clearly is the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, in which the government basically, in Tuskegee, Alabama, they put in a lot of syphilis strains and used people as human guinea pigs. That was actually true, and that happened, I want to say in the 40s, but don't quote me on that. I'd say look that one up, but I know that was one that came out true. So there are for sure shady things the government does that are revealed. But the problem, if you say everything is a conspiracy, then nothing that is said is considered trustworthy. It erodes public trust. It erodes what people can do. It erodes public engagement, because people are like, oh, what I'm doing doesn't really matter because this shadowy cabal of businessmen really control everything. And that's really the thing you don't want. You want to have public engagement to help protect a democracy. And conspiracy theories are one way to chill that speech in a way. Now, I don't have a solution on how to get rid of these, because conspiracy theories become so ingrained in somebody that everything else is just the government trying to hide something. The joke is, stay woke or wake up, sheeple, are things you often hear on the internet. But there are a lot of conspiracy theories that really damage everything, damage our population in more ways than we can really quantify. So Tony, my question for you is, what are some conspiracy theories that you've heard in the past? Tony, I'll see you on Tuesday. Later, bro.